Robert Lanza, medical doctor, professor, and chief scientific officer of the Astellas Institute for Regenerative Medicine, was not only the first to clone an endangered species, but also among the first ones to successfully generate stem cells from adults using somatic cell nuclear transfer. Biocentrism. How Life and Consciousness Are the Keys to Understanding the True Nature of the Universe is a book written by Robert Lanza. In the book, Lanza presents his theory of biocentrism, which challenges the conventional understanding of the universe. This book put forwards a basis for an argument that death is merely transport into another universe. Lanza argues that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe, not a byproduct of matter, and that it does not depend on the physical body alone. He proposes a theory called biocentrism, which asserts that life and consciousness play a central role in shaping our understanding of reality. Lanza draws from various scientific disciplines, including quantum physics, biology, and...
Alright, so into this video I'm going to be going through this article and this research from Robert Lanza. I have approached Robert Lanza and some of his theories before. Is human consciousness creating reality? This was June 2021, only 3 years ago from writing this, from making this video. This is very recent research, even so all the research that is 5, even 10 years old is somewhat of new research, which a lot of people don't even know about. So what they're doing here is they're taking the observer effect in quantum physics and putting it on steroids. Like this, they're going very, very deep into the specifics and the details and deep mathematics of it. So basically what they are saying is that consciousness creates reality. There's no doubt about it. And even if you build all these counter arguments, which are good, this is how we reach and refine theories, there's no denying it in 2024, 2021. There's no denying this possibility. Now, why do I talk about this? In this channel, what I like to do is the last few videos that I've done have more to do with pragmatic philosophy, and I'm going into the UFO phenomenon, and I'm going into the apocryphal scriptures, the soul trap theory, what happens in the afterlife, how we have this research saying this anecdotal evidence and the somewhat structured research in near-death experiences suggesting that we can create our own heavens and our own hells, and some of these places are consistent both in reports from psychedelic experiences and reports from near-death experiences. They have the same generalities to them, which means that there's a sort or a form of objectivity in the experiences. But this is a little bit of speculation in a sense, even though I'm always basing myself in the information that I've gathered through research. A lot of it is not hard science, but what I like to do in this channel is bring up the hard science to set up a framework for the theories that I'm talking about. So, straight up, what are we talking about? We're talking about people creating their own heavens, their own hells, their own valhallas after they die. How can this be possible? Because consciousness is at the heart of it. Consciousness is the only thing that exists. So even consciousness, even scientists, this is science, there's research that I'm going to be attaching to this video. This video is going to be going on ongoing research. My playlist, where every single video has a scientific research attached to it. So consciousness is what's creating our reality, even our physical material world that we experience right now. Physical material reality is created by consciousness. We know this in quantum physics because of the observer effect. What they're doing here is they're putting all of these experiments on steroids and just going into the specifics of it. Before I move forward, I would like to remind you that if you want to join the growing discussion on consciousness and would like to be notified on the latest scientific discoveries and theories surrounding this topic and how they connect to ancient mythologies and philosophies, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll try to upload at least one video per week as I continue with the outline. Alright, so let's get into it. Is human consciousness creating reality? Is the physical universe independent from us, or is it created by our minds, as suggested by scientist Robert Lanza? A new study claims networks of observers are responsible for determining physical reality. The scientists propose that observers generate the structure of time and space. The paper could help yield insights into the quote-unquote God equation, which attempts to unify quantum mechanics and general relativity. So quantum mechanics, the world of the unseen, the world of the smallest things, the basic building blocks of the universe, and general relativity, which has to do with time and space, with our physical reality, how all of this comes together. Now, when it says here, networks of observers generate structures of time and space. So when we talk about the concept from William Bullman of consensus realities, of creating your own heavens and your own hells, we're talking about people coming together, networks of observers, consciousness, trying to think of a specific heaven or of a specific hell or whatever, and everyone who thinks about something seems to be building it somewhere. And I talk about in those previous videos, which I'm probably going to link somewhere below. I talk about these 4 dimensions. When people die, they go from the 3rd dimension to what seems to be the 4th dimension. This is what they call them. It's basically a non-physical reality. Physical reality and the non-physical reality is a different set, a different frame of existence. It seems that then everything is less dense, so everything is more mental, more based on consciousness. And what we're seeing, what our science is telling us in the 2020s, in the 21st century, is that networks of observers are responsible for reality. So when we say people can create their own heavens and their own hells in a more mental framework of reality, is it so far-fetched to believe this? No. And this is what the evidence is putting forward. So, is there physical reality or that is independent of us? Does objective reality exist at all? The question keeps being asked, and quantum physics keeps proving on and on and on that there's no such thing as objective reality. And I'm going to be going into some of these other videos that I made relating to quantum physics, because everything is pointing towards the same thing, and they are related to this very specific research that we are looking into. Or is the structure of everything, including time and space, created by perceptions of those observing it? As I say, it's the observer effect on steroids. The paper authors include Robert Lanza, a stem cell regenerative medicine expert famous for the theory of biocentrism, which argues consciousness is the driving force for the existence of the universe. Now, as I said, I made some videos on Robert Lanza. In fact, one of the most popular videos in this channel dealing with the scientific theory of the soul deals with 2 theories. One is biocentrism by Robert Lanza, and the other one is the Urquhart theory. All of the links are going to be below. This one is going to have links because there's a lot of moving pieces here. But when it comes to biocentrism, I made another video talking about multiverse could only function if reality was a hologram. I talk about the multiverse theory. The idea of multiverse can only work in a less dense, less physical, basic reality. Our physical reality is only one framework of existence. There's a less dense physical reality where everything comes together. How can there be a multiverse where every single decision of every single human being or else exists somewhere? It can only exist within a computer. It can only exist as data and information, and it cannot overlap the physical reality, because otherwise it would be madness. So even physical reality not being so real, that's the only way where all of this could happen. So Robert Lanza, let's go a little bit into Robert Lanza. Who Robert Lanza is? He's one of these scientists who appeared in Time magazine. He is recognized as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. So he's a little bit of one of those science celebrities and so on and so forth. But his theories are really interesting. He talks a lot about the observer effect. He's been in different magazines and so on. He's kind of a celebrity. So in this video that I made of him, I argue that his theory is a little bit basic. He basically says when you die, you go to a different universe because there's the multiverse and this is how it happens. It's quite simplistic. I like the Urquhart theory a little bit more. But so this simplistic nature of his approach is very good to pulling a lot of people and bringing a lot of people forward with his ideas. Just saying, oh yeah, you die and you go to another multiverse. Let's set up a little bit more of a framework to it. So in this research, he does that, and he goes deep into the theories with his colleagues, and they go into deep mathematics. This is actually one of the hardest pieces of research that I've been going to. I'm not sure if I'll actually use this for the things that I'm writing, but I'll keep it in the channel and keep it as just stacking all of the research that I have here. So far I have 42 videos. As I said, even though I'm gonna be going further into pragmatic philosophy and bringing all these things forward into a more pragmatic sense, not only focusing on science but in the pragmatics, what I want to do, what I'm doing right now, is putting the pragmatic philosophy, putting the idea of creating your own heaven, and then putting a scientific framework, which is what I'm going to be trying to do, because I have tons and tons and tons of research that I haven't even tapped into. And while I was writing my new book, which are going to be split in different books, that's what I want to do in the future. You want to support me with that, the Patreon link is below. I hope that at some point in my life I get to do this. So I have all of this research that I have not even tapped into, and this is my latter list. So all of this research, quantum theory demonstrated, encoding membrane potential-based memory within a microbial community. Why do I go into this? Because these microbes and bacteria, they do not have brains, they do not have a nervous system, but they do have memory and they do have consciousness. So how can this happen? It's because consciousness is outside of us. So this is only to show that all of this research, and what I'm doing with the research is putting it all together and creating a story, a single, all-encompassing story of the whole thing, and everything ties together and everything is pointing to the same thing. Why do I bring this forward? Because it's saying the same thing that Robert Lanza is saying here. According to his biocentric view, space and time are byproduct of the whirl of information in our head that is weaved together by our mind into a coherent experience. This is what all of this research is putting forward, what all of the quantum physics is putting forward, what the Orquart theory, my favorite theory, the scientific theory of the soul, is putting forward. Basically, there is quantum information in your brain. They found specifically where in the microtubules, which at the moment of death, it exits your brain as information, as quantum information, and merges with the larger quantum fields. This is what is happening. So how can we create our own heavens? Because even our very physical reality is a whirl of information. Everything is quantum physics. So as I said, what they're doing here is putting the observer effect to the test and putting it on steroids. I'll go into the actual PDF a little bit further into this. It's highly complicated. I'm going to link everything below. You can go through it. You can look into it. But it's all saying the same thing. His new paper, co-authored by Dmitry Podolsky and Andrei Barbinsky, Theories in Quantum Gravity and Quantum Cosmology, shows how observers influence the structure of reality. So this is really interesting. Now, a little mention that I want to make here is that this research came out in 2020, 2021. That's when it was being revised. This was before the current war on Ukraine. So as I said, I have all this research and I cannot move into pragmatic philosophy, into bringing things that could actually help us. Now, like Jeffrey Long, who created NDERF, the Research Foundation for Near-Death Experiences, which has the largest stacking data of these near-death experiences, what he says is that if people understood these realities, we could achieve world peace. Because we would realize that every human being, number one, has value. Number two, we are the same thing and we go through the same things after we die. We're trying to do something here. If we saw this connection between us, all these wars wouldn't exist. Now there's a war between the West and Russia. So this paper, this science is going to be affected by this war. And I find this extremely tragic, which is why I feel the need to start talking about the pragmatic philosophy. What conclusions can we gather from all of this information? Thank you so much for watching. If you find any value in the content that I'm putting forward, please consider supporting the project through Patreon on the links below. Likewise, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, or follow me on other social media so more people have access to this information. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the next one.